Greetings, friends, colleagues in the industry, the financial services sector, and friends across the economic spectrum of South Africa. My name is Kaya Buthelezi, the host of the Money Capital podcast, and welcome to another special edition of the Money Capital podcast, where today we are going to be discussing the issue of transformation in the asset management sector. I wanted to discuss this particular topic after I read an op-ed authored by a gentleman by the name of Ola Leepile. When he authored this particular piece, when he asked the question why asset consultants must drive transformation in the fund management sector, he then raised a number of very interesting points, and I want us to discuss those points today, because I do believe that I share his views that if we want to see real and genuine transformation happening in the asset management space, and maybe just for a way of background, I just want to share with you that roughly, total assets under management in South Africa, they are, around 4.7 trillion. Others say it's about 6 trillion. About 2.3 trillion of that is currently sitting with the Public Investment Corporation, which are mainly the assets that are owned by public servants who are, retirement contributors to the Government Employees Pension Fund. And therefore, it's one of those things that I just want to share with you. And then if you minus that 2.3 trillion rand, you'll then realize that you are left with roughly about 4 trillion. And out of that 4 trillion, roughly 500 to 600 billion rand are managed by black, fund managers, or those fund or asset management companies that were founded by black people and are also managed and owned in the main by black people. And I don't want us to be ashamed when we use these terms. I understand that there's currently a wave and a pushback, from the establishment in our country. And we are also seeing it in countries such as in the West, in the main, like in the UK. They are now also trying to fight against inclusion and diversity. And the Trump presidency, as we've commented before on this particular platform, has actually made this very, very situation where it has actually worsened as a result of the emergence of Trump as the president of the United States of America. We are now seeing a pushback against, trying to have diverse teams and, more transformed organizations representative of all, sectors of society, being in senior management positions, but also owning, pieces of the economy that is in that particular country. So what this gentleman you would see here, his name is Ola Leepile. He is the Chief Investment Officer of Novare Holdings. Novare Holdings is one of the asset consultants in South Africa. I think they are one of the biggest, if I'm not mistaken, but they are in the league of your Rescuers of this world, your Novares of this world, and your Alex Forbes, Sanlam, Old Mutual, and so forth and so on. I think there's also Towers Watson. So what we did is, flowing from this article that Leepile has authored, we then said, no, let us delve deep into what he's saying. But maybe before we do that, let me just read some of the things that he's saying for context so that we understand exactly what is it that we are talking about. He says, For financial services firms, ticking boxes to achieve top BE status is not the same as genuine transformation. So he's making a distinction between genuine transformation as well as just ticking the boxes of black economic empowerment legislation. He says this is especially evident in the asset management industry, where the industry has been falling short in advancing black professionals. I want to go back to the point that black asset managers, and I'm deliberately excluding the established managers, the likes of Old Mutual and Sanlam, who overnight have become a level 1 PE company, and some of us who've worked in these organizations, we know how to actually manipulate the BE scorecard so that it then gives you a level 1 contribution, and yet you are not being, that organization is not really fully transformed. So that is why I'm saying in this discussion today, in our eyes, Old Mutual, Sanlam, they are very pretty much part of the establishment. They are white-led in the main, white-owned in the main, and with just a sprinkling of black executives and senior managers out there with a few share options, and that's it. But when you talk about has the culture of that organization changed, who are the trigger pullers in terms of key decision making in that particular organization, you'll then realize that black people have not emerged. They are not taking serious decisions in those organizations. That is why, in my discussion, I have nothing against these two organizations. That includes 91, by the way, formerly Investec. I have nothing. I'm a past Old Mutual employee myself. I spent almost 4 years of my career out there in the asset management business. I've actually acknowledged the strides they are making, but for the purposes of this discussion, I'm not going to include them as part of your transformed, asset managers. So I'm going to be talking roughly to say that in terms of black asset owner managers that are managing money, we are currently sitting plus minus at 600 billion rand. So the rest of almost 4 to 3.8 trillion rand, that is in the main managed by the other asset managers who are regarded as not transformed. So you're now getting the context. That explains the predicament we are currently facing. Because the people who are advisors of these retirement funds in the country that make up plus minus 6 trillion total assets under management. The question is, and which Mr. Leepile is asking here, are these asset consultants themselves transformed? If they are not transformed, why are they not transformed? Why are they remaining not transformed in a country that is transformed over the past 30 years and in a country that is transforming on a daily basis? So what we did to confirm what Mr. Leepile, what is he saying, is he correct in claiming that these asset consultants are not transformed? Imagine, for instance, hypothetically speaking, if these asset consultants were transformed, you have Mr. Buthelezi from Soweto as a CIO or one of the senior managers, really pulling the shots and pulling the triggers in these particular asset consultants. He's conscious. He knows in terms of where he grew up. He understands the plight of black people in general. He also understands the landscape of the South African economy. So you're now thinking the type of decision this particular person will then begin to make sure that he advances, progressive. He makes sure that there's progress in the manner in which black people are allocated money, number one, but generally in terms of their development. So you can see the change, that it is important that we have different types of people from different backgrounds and cultures, so that because their way of thinking then informs decision making in that particular organization. So that in the manner in which then they then allocate capital is informed also by where they are coming from. It's not just the education which they got, they are obtained from UCT, from VETS, and some fancy investment qualification from the UK and so forth and so on, and MBA from there. You know what I mean? It's not only about that, but also it's about the fact that I grew up kwamashu esinqanqawini. And therefore, I hold a particular point of view that is completely different from my white counterpart who grew up in Claremont, in Cape Town. You see? And the manner in which I see my country developing is going to be completely different from that particular individual. So I think we need to understand this, that we are not, it's not a battle, it's not something that we should actually be fighting about. But when we say that transformation is a business imperative, we mean exactly that, to say that bring people of different, backgrounds, thinking, cultural backgrounds and so forth and so on, because they hold different views informed by where they are coming from. That is why I always fight against my black counterparts, my black colleagues in the corporate world, who are now all of a sudden are thinking like, they are colleagues from Claremont or Bishop's Court or wherever, what other suburbs that one can think about in Cape Town, Newlands, or whatever the case may be. We need to have people who think like people who come from Phoenix, those who know Phoenix and Durban, for instance, Chatsworth, Eldos in Johannesburg. We need that. When we talk about a diverse, team, that's exactly what we mean. You bring up, and then you need Van der Merwe, who comes from a farm from the Free State. He must also have a seat at the table. Then we engage about where we need to be allocating capital and why, and we can give the reasons why capital should be allocated in this particular manner. Because all of this, what it basically says to us is that we understand our country. We understand where we come from as a nation. That in this country we've had 400 years plus of racial subjugation, putting one race above other races, and then benefiting this small race above all these other races. And we've only had 30 years to correct that nonsense, that mess of colonialism and apartheid. Now, we understand, yes, those who have, it's like the ill-gotten gains of crime. Those who've benefited, are going to try to fight back, as we are currently experiencing in the country. The likes of AfriForum, the likes of Solidarity, and their supporters around the country, they are fighting back, and many other organizations that are popping up, obviously being spearheaded by the likes of your Democratic Alliance. They are fighting with everything they have, and that is why we are taking the battle to them. We are not scared. We are going to say, no, guys, let's engage as South Africans. We disagree with you. The direction this country must take is a direction of transformation, correcting the wrongs of the past. Anyway, I'm digressing. All right. So what Mr. Leepile is saying here, one of the things which I'm going to quote, which I think is very interesting in many things that he's saying, is that a diverse investment team, I'm just going to quote this one, brings a broader range of perspectives, enhances decision making, and reduces cognitive biases. It's exactly what I was trying, but he's saying it in a far much better, English, and ultimately leading to better long-term results. You see, that's exactly what I'm saying, and I agree with him. We can't be having a situation where it can't be, and it's not going to happen in our country. We must refuse against, these types of, struggles by some of our counterparts and compatriots, So he then concludes by saying he concludes by saying, we should all walk the talk by selecting and recommending performing managers who are pro-transformation to ensure we are investing in the future of pension fund members and in our country. However, also asset consultants hold the keys to the wider industry. So what we did to confirm what Mr. Leepile is saying, we then visited a number of the websites of these asset consultants. We visited the website of Alexander Forbes to see how diverse their team is, and also to see how many black people own a stake of that business. We also visited the website of Towers Watson. These are one of the biggest in the country. We also visited the website of Rescura. What was, shocking to us, that none of these organizations, with the exception of a few, actually have their diverse teams on their websites. None of them actually put their people, out there. So that, begs the question, why, if you have a proud transformation record, if you have your people, to say that we have a diverse team, why are you not putting them on the website for the whole world to see? Why are they hidden in everything in all your marketing speak that you put there? So, Rescura, Towers Watson, Alex Forbes, if indeed we are proud of your transformation track record, specifically Alex Forbes, as you rightly point out in your transformation policy and so forth and so on, let's see your teams on your websites. Talk about them. Why are you scared to talk about them? Why are you scared to put them on your public platform so that you can see that indeed these organizations are transformed? Thank you very much. Until we meet in the next time, make sure that you subscribe, you follow us on our social media platforms. It was lovely chatting to you. Thank you.